Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. SVG Liat workers say they are frustrated as they still do not know where they stand as it regards to employment and benefits from the airline, which is going through a liquidation process. President of the SVG Liat Workers Union, Jeremiah Howard, and the union secretary, Tisha Delpech, told SVG-TV News today they feel neglected, having failed to secure a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves, who is the chair of Liat shareholder governments.
Our patience and understanding for the past 9 weeks is running thin. The Prime Minister of Barbados, Grenada, and Antigua and Barbuda have met with the Liat staff of their respective countries regarding the same issues. This crisis is not just about fiduciary interests, but speaks to a moral obligation to show care and compassion to us as staff members of Liat and by extension citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in this unprecedented time. We should be valued like the other shareholders, citizens.
Our meeting was requested on the 8th of June. The liquidation was announced on the 27th of June falsely by Antigua's Prime Minister Gladstone Brown. So we were even ahead of them because we saw where this was going. I kept telling them, I said, this is going into liquidation. Let's get a meeting with the Prime Minister. And as a matter of fact, other unions been urging us to try to get a meeting with our Prime Minister because he is the shareholder government. Even in management, they were urging us to try to get a meeting with our shareholder Prime Minister. She would have been representing not just St. Vincent, but a couple of the other unions in the Caribbean. And to this date, they have actually gotten their meeting before us.
There are 41 staff in SVG who are employed with Liat. Currently, 6 are active duty staff, and according to Delpech, they have not been paid since April. She said that they are under financial pressure and have tried different coping mechanisms.
We're not hearing anything. The first few days of April, we worked, and we were not compensated for those. We were not paid for those days. So from April to now, nothing. The staff that are still on duty, their last pay was the ending of, for the month of April. From since then, they have not been paid. But yet still, if we have flights that they have to go to operate, they put themselves in place to be there. And as staff, we feel neglected because we're not hearing anything. And from time to time, we try to communicate with one another to keep our spirits up. This has happened, and the job market is not as it was before COVID. So things have changed, and we have to try to cope the best way we can in dealing with this. It's hard. It's really hard. Persons with mortgages, persons who were the sole breadwinner of their homes.
The staff have signed up with the National Insurance Services, the NIS, and have collected $300 for 3 months, which ended in June. They say they have not received any communication on whether this financial support will be extended. The union's president said that Liat is still obligated to its staff, and since they are being kept in the dark, they have been in steady contact with legal advisors.
As of this point, we are still employed at Liat. So, we are still employed. Liat is directly still responsible for us. We have not been severed. In essence, the law is broken, and we have no direction. We have sought legal action. Well, we're speaking to lawyers, which we have no choice. In the Northern Caribbean, and there's a local council that we're speaking to as well. We have to look out for ourselves because, I mean, we are on our own, it seems.
all necessary precautions are being taken to ensure that the environment is not negatively impacted by activities taking place at Great Head Bay by petrol company Sol SVG. So says the company's manager, Steve Francis. Yesterday, SVG-TV News received reports suggesting that there may be an oil spill at the Great Head Bay, raising environmental concerns. On arrival at the site, our news team discovered there was no oil spill, but observed work being done on the beach and within the ocean space. In a telephone interview today with SVG-TV News, Francis said the work being done is to remove a pipeline.
What we are doing at Great Head Bay right now is that we are removing a discontinued pipeline that has been there for years. That particular pipeline was discontinued many years ago by our predecessor Shell, and that pipeline used to pipe a product called RC250, or better known as bitumen. So the time has come for us to remove the pipeline, so we have begun that particular process. And in so doing, we are taking all the necessary precautions by the deployment of sausage booms in the event that any seepage of residual product, that it will be contained within those sausage booms. So it's a process of removing an old pipeline, basically.
The Great Head Bay is used as a fishing ground and is in close proximity to well-known recreational sites such as the Indian Bay and Villa beaches. The site is home to young mangrove and associated trees which are needed to help preserve the environment and provide spawning areas for fish. Francis spoke of the equipment being used to prevent ecological damage to the area.
The first defense that we have put in place is the containment via the deployment of the sausage booms, so that if there's any product that escapes, they would be contained within those particular booms and would be cleaned up using absorbent pads and other materials and brought to shore into our depot and treated accordingly. So there is minimal impact, so to speak, with respect to the environment.
The Sol SVG manager said safety is a key component of their overall operation.
About taking the necessary precautions, we have very high standards when it comes to the environment and safety, and every day we work towards ensuring that those safety measures are in place. We use some very simple process. For example,
where production
we deploy a system called Stop, Think, and Act.
Again,
so before you do anything, ask yourself, what could be the impact of doing this particular activity
to go up
in terms of
prices have been
negatively impacting somebody by injuring them
over the last couple of months. So
and
this is really a
think as
reflection
to
of what's happening
what is the correct procedure that should be followed out. That should be followed to ensure that everything goes according to plan.
The United States pressure in Iran with
HSE, or health, safety, and the environment, are major aspects of our business.
And obviously that will have an impact on the price of oil.
Proper HSE
in Venezuela,
guidelines at all times
has been reduced. So again, this is being a negative factor will cause the price of oil to go up.
Minister of Housing Montgomery Daniel says that his government is fast approaching its target of having 2,000 houses built for Vincentians. Speaking on Star FM last evening, Daniel said that the project started under former Housing Minister Julian Francis with approximately 9 million EC dollars. He said that since he became the minister 12 years ago, he has ensured that the target is realized.
As low-income houses from the rehabilitation program of 2013-2014, and then went into the Life to Live program. We are now just over 1,800 houses that we would have produced to this country. When I joined the Ministry of Housing in 2012, my aim has always been, by 2020, we should have 2,000 houses in this country.
Nice wrong figure.
We are getting closer and closer to 2,000 houses overall from this government from 2001 to 2020.
The North Windward MP outlined several areas and persons yet to benefit from the government's housing plan.
At the moment, through the Life to Live program, we are building currently just about 21. Cabinet has just approved a couple more houses that were affected by fire. There is also 3 houses to be built to for the accommodation of the new hotel at Bokoma, where these 3 houses are in the pathway for that project. HLDC is also building approximately 4 houses at the moment. So we are getting closer and closer to the numbers that the target number that we have identified.
The NDP's candidate for the East Kingston constituency in the upcoming general election, Fitz Bramble, said that there is no evidence of anything tangible done for the youth in the constituency, and he is passionate and determined to give them the opportunity to excel. Bramble was speaking on the NDP's Monday night Facebook program last evening.
Is to develop a modern indoor sporting facility and performing arts center. And I like to use the example of Madison Square Garden, for example. Of course, we're not going to have a Madison Square Garden here, but Madison Square Garden is a world-renowned facility for sports.
Right.
The New York Knicks play there, you know, all these major concerts and so on take place there. I mean, you have trade fair, every and anything takes place there. We can have something similar in the constituency of East Kingston. I mean, right down there by the Signal playing field is an ideal location for something like that. You have your major indoor sporting facility, basketball, netball, volleyball, squash, I mean everything.
Right.
And you not only are you creating opportunities for the young people in the community, but also for the young people nationwide. And you also providing opportunities for regional and international competition, because now you have a top quality facility.
Exactly.
And the Performing Arts Center is right there.
Bramble said that one of the main reasons why he is inspired to help the youth of the constituency and SVG on a whole is because of his deceased son, a former national under-17 and under-20 footballer who was gunned down in January 2014.
Weezy was my first son, okay? I have 4 sons and 2 daughters. Weezy was my first son. Weezy was born when I was just about finishing up Form 6, A-level back in the day. And very bright guy, very bright young man, very talented, very manly and everything. But Weezy made some choices in the latter part of his life which I think ultimately led to his demise. I am not here to defend Weezy and to proclaim Weezy as an angel who fell out of heaven. But I was his father. I raised him, and I knew him better than anybody else. Better than anybody else. And I knew he was a very talented young man. He had a lot of potential, but he made some bad choices, he made some bad decisions, and unfortunately he ended up the way he ended up. Every young man in the constituency of East Kingston that I see and interact with, I view them as another Weezy, from the standpoint of this young man could have been my son.
Right.
And
there is potential.
And there is potential, and they're yearning for opportunity.
The police have arrested and charged Carol Williams, an 18-year unemployed of South Rivers, with fraud and impersonation. The police say, according to investigation, the accused allegedly with intent to defraud an employee of the electoral office falsely represented herself to be one Anika Pope, a 19-year-old unemployed of Lomans Windward. In addition, the accused was further charged for impersonation to wit she gave to Anastasia Wickham Caesar, she being a person employed in the public service and assigned to the electoral office, information in the truth of which the accused did not believe, namely that the accused was Anika Pope of Lomans Windward. card intended there to cause the employee to grant a temporary record of the identification details of Anika Pope of Lomans Windward, which she ought not to have done of the truth state of the facts. The incident occurred at Bay Street, Kingston on July 6, 2020. Meanwhile, police have arrested and charged Charisse Coffey, a 41-year-old program assistant of South Rivers, with wounding. Investigations reveal that the accused allegedly, unlawfully and maliciously inflicted grievous bodily harm on a 20-year-old unemployed of the same address by striking her with a glass bottle on her forehead at South Rivers on July 25th. The accused in both incidents are expected to appear before the Serious Offences Court to answer to the respective charges. In more police news, Derek Peniston, a 23-year-old taxi operator of Hamilton Beckway, has been arrested and charged with wounding. According to investigation, the accused allegedly, unlawfully and maliciously wounded a 43-year-old laborer of Union Level Beckway by beating him about his body with a piece of pipe, causing actual bodily harm. Peniston is expected to appear before the Union Island Magistrate Court to answer to the charge. The funeral service for the late Police Constable 918 Sean Alfonso Westfield will take place tomorrow, Wednesday, August 12, 2020 at the Kittel Seventh-day Adventist Church. The deceased will be accorded a full military funeral. Viewing of the body will commence at 12:30 p.m. to be followed by the funeral service at 2 p.m. The interment will take place at the Chauncey Cemetery. Persons are advised to follow the COVID-19 guidelines, which will be in effect during the funeral service and procession to the cemetery. These include staying at least 3 to 6 feet apart, wearing a face mask for the duration of the service, the procession to the cemetery, and the interment. The police said no vending will be allowed in the immediate vicinity of the funeral service and place of interment. In relation to traffic, the Spring Road at Top Kittels leading to Lower Kittels and Clare Valley is expected to be closed to vehicular traffic for the duration of the funeral service.